Alright, here, let me pause this. I'm watching the Millbrook Railroad. Alright, I'm in the process of making trees. Um, Bamboo skewer, granite gray apple barrel paint. I'm actually just dipping the end in because it's only half a bottle. It's paint on there, flip it over, let it run down, chase it down a little bit with the paintbrush, make sure it gets all the way around it. Go on down to the bottom. Alright. I know you guys are probably sitting there thinking, well, that's awful long. Well, it's actually an N-gauge tree. I've climbed enough of these daggone things and cut enough of them down to know how tall a pine tree is around here. And believe it or not, the average height in southern Pennsylvania for a pine tree is about 110 feet. My N-scale ruler doesn't even go that long, but that's actually 7.5 inches. So a 7.5 inch turntable that Atlas has is actually 100 feet. You know, that's the average. I've climbed some that are 150 and closer to 200 foot and chopped them all down to nothing. Those are big pine trees, and they do have a tendency to die at about 150 feet on up. Pine trees are amazing for how tall they can grow. I've got one that I've already built and measured, but I didn't paint. That's this one. This one here, about 9 inches long. So yes, it's a little on the tall side, but accurate to N-scale still. And this is nothing more than that cheap air filter. And I can bunch it up. You can still see the main trunk through there. And if I plant it to there, where my fingers are, that would be pretty accurate. The only thing left for me to do with this one is to literally spray it with some sort of adhesive and sprinkle ground foam over it. Or I could just use this as a background tree. And you see that bare end? Stick that back towards the background and bingo. But this is how simple it is to make air filter pine trees. The air filter that I got was a 20 by 30 sheet of natural air from Walmart. So it's about $8. Well, hold on a second, I'll pull it out here. I gotta give these trunks time to dry. Natural air. That's the bag you'd buy. It'd be a whole sheet instead of a cut up sheet. This one's about half done. But I take me a little bowl and put a couple pieces in there, only about 5 or 6. You tease it out, make it nice and big. The teasing part's the pain in the butt. But once it's teased out, it gets to looking good. See if this one's dry. Dry enough. Just teased out and looking good. I used the pointed end for planting it. So some people like to use the pointed end for the top. But I use the pointed end for planting them because it's a little bit easier. So if I run that all the way up the top, and the top one you want teased out the most. Because you want that to come all the way up over the top. And I should put the smaller one up there. I'll swap that up. Ain't that hard to do. Oop. You don't want to pull it completely apart like I just did, but tease it out. Man. No, I ain't got no COVID. I've just got a bad back. And too many years of smoking cigarettes. So you kids out there watching, even though my stuff's not pointed towards kids, don't ever start smoking cigarettes. Worst thing you could possibly do, and it tears up your hobby budget. If you want it more fanned out at the top than anywhere else, because that's where the youngest growths are. Well, I ain't had time to really fill in yet. I think that was one that was mid-sized. Did you get them up there? And yeah, this is messy, okay? I'll wind up with a lot of these little strings, and if you get them in the clothes, oh, they itch. It's like dealing with fiberglass insulation. Alright. I've got a trash can right next to me, so, and this piece of styrofoam on my lap, so that way it catches most of it. And I can just wipe off the board into the trash can. Alright. Sometimes it's easier just to put it on there and tease it after. I didn't buy any ground foam rubber today, or else I'd flock these right now, but my flocking material is kind of put up. Heck, that looks like pine bark there. I don't know what they make these materials out of. So we might actually be using trees to make trees. Seems kind of redundant, but oh well. Yeah, there's more of it. You can get those big chunky things out of there. There we go. And yeah, it's about the right height. It's only got to be about. It's only got to be an estimate. Any place that you see you don't like I don't like this really big chunk here. Cut it down a little bit. And remember, you want it to be kind of uneven. It's still a natural tree. So. Anything in nature is more of a random. Well, you can have bare spots in a tree, you know, where things don't fill in. Nature's never perfect. That's the one thing you got to remember whenever you're making anything scenery-wise. Nature is never perfect. It's always got to have an oddball in it. You'll never see a perfect tree in nature. This one here is a bit narrow there, but we'll twist some. Make it bulge out a little bit better. There we go. And I'll take this a little bit out of here. Whatever the heck this thing is. I'll just pull it out with a pair of scissors. But there we go. It's not perfectly shaped, and you don't want it to be. You want it to have, you know, bits of bare that has bigger underneath of it and stuff like that. But there is a pine tree, and if you plant it with that much on, well, probably about that much in end scale off the ground, you've got still a perfect tree, but this is more of a front lawn tree. That would be almost to the ground out in the woods. Alright, and then for a business or something like that, they might actually have arborists cut at least 30 feet from the bottom. That prevents anybody from climbing the tree. Most people, they only want enough they can run a riding mower underneath of it, so about 8 feet. But that's a tree, and this is good enough as is to plant in the background. So, way back here. Or with a little bit of just ground foam rubber sprinkled over it. Just like that, with a little bit of glue, and shake it off. It's good for a foreground tree. You could actually use this, and it's a quite convincing foreground tree once flocking is on it. But if you're using this as a background tree, does it look like it's got pine needles on it now? I think so. Y'all have a good one. And I'd like to say a special thank you to the lady and her husband that I ran into at Mainline Model Trains today, Mainline Hobby Shop. I hope you guys do great in your endeavor of wanting to create small city scenes on pieces of foam, and this is a piece of 2-inch foam. I use it regularly. I know it's expensive, but it's worth it. Have a great time with your new endeavors. It was nice to meet you today. It was also nice to meet Todd from the fire department. I think it was Greencastle Fire Department. He was up there looking for HO scale stuff. I do N scale. I've been at this for 30 years now. It's been a fun run modeling things that I see in nature and model trains in general. I've also done an updated track plan. I'll be going from Walkersville up to Woodsboro, up to the interchange in Kemar, and up to Tawnytown. This is very compressed. It's not, I think it's 50 miles, but through that 50 miles, there's really only one town that I skipped, and that's Ladysburg. So, y'all have a good one. Till we meet again, this is my video for the month of February, and I'll try to make one next month in March. It is February 24th, so it's already almost the end of the month anyways. But I'll try to catch back up with you later, and yes, I am still working on hand-laid turnouts and track, but I got to order a few more things to get this where it needs to be, and I've already broken this one. Because I ain't got the ties. I don't have the wood ties yet. So I got to get those on order from Fast Tracks, as well as some more Code 40 rail, and I'll get to work on those, as this will all be Code 40 hand laid. And I just bought a couple of rolls of track bed and some ballast today from Mainline, so hopefully in the next 2-3 months the shed will be kicking with some activity, and I will be building. Y'all have a good one.